Hello YouTube family. Well, it has been 6 weeks and we promised we would show you how we can our sauerkraut. And so that is what I'm doing already. If you see the jars in front and you remember the previous video, I actually had 2 jars. So I've already taken the first jar and filled this. To do that, what I started with was I took out, if you remember, I put in leaves over the sauerkraut, and I already took out those leaves and discarded them so I could start processing the sauerkraut. It's a very simple process. What's in the jar goes into these jars and goes into the canner. So let's get started. I'm just simply going to pull the sauerkraut out, and what you need to do is you need to pack the sauerkraut into your jars. Now the reason I'm only using half-pint jars is because we tend to use sauerkraut more as a condiment than as a side dish, or I don't really do pork and sauerkraut. We do sauerkraut with brats, we do sauerkraut with corned beef once in a while, but that's about the limit of our sauerkraut. So putting them into pint jars is probably the best way for us to do it. And if you notice, I'm just packing it down into the pint jars and then adding until I'm about, half to a quarter inch from the top. That's about how far you would fill it. After you've got it filled, you wipe the rim to make sure you don't have any sauerkraut left on the jar. You put a clean lid on it, you put a ring around it, and when you got them done, you can put them in your canner. So this is just called cold packing because this is not hot. So I am just cold packing my sauerkraut. And you need to make sure you have brine in there, so I'm just scooping it out. I'm pushing it down, and if there's not enough brine when I get done, I'll fill the jars with leftover brine. But if you could smell it, it definitely smells like sauerkraut right now. It has fermented well, and we are ready to go. Why I do this in a bowl is because I'm, as my husband affectionately likes to say, a messy cook. So I'm trying to catch the sauerkraut in the bowl instead of getting it all over my counter, which is typically what I would do. Now, if Brian wants to pan over here, we've had kind of a busy day. I have put up 6 quarts of spaghetti sauce and 7 pints of green beans. That has given me a total of 14 quarts of spaghetti sauce for the year and 58 pints of green beans for the year. So I'm set with my spaghetti sauce. I won't have to make any more of that. And we're pretty much set with our green beans, so any green beans that get done next will probably be for our children, who we typically will share our produce with. Okay, in the 6 weeks that we were waiting for the sauerkraut to ferment, every week I actually put like a little post-it note, something like this, and I had week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each week I would cross off what week it was so I could remember what week it was. But during those 6 weeks, I would just go in, look at the jars, and I did notice at one point in time, the brine seemed a little low. It had really absorbed into the cabbage. So I just added a little bit of just a mild salt water brine to each jar, but not very much. I just wanted to make sure the cabbage stayed covered and it wasn't exposed to the air. Oh, there it goes all over the counter. probably the hardest thing about doing it in a quart jar is that when my counters are clean, by the way. When you're doing this, getting the kraut out of the half-gallon jar, because you have a limited amount of space. That's probably the most difficult thing, is just getting it out. Okay, we got 14 half pints of sauerkraut, and how you process this is simply a water bath. So I have an electric canner going, and my jars are ready to go in the canner. You just simply take your jars, put them in the canner, and when you've got them all in, you need to make sure that about 1 to 2 inches of water are covering all of your jars. Our 20 minutes are up. I turned the canner power off, and then I've let my jars just sit in the canning water for about 5 minutes just to cool down just a little bit, and now I'm going to take them out of the canner. And that's what they look like coming out of the canner. Oh, there's another one. Okay, there are my 14 half pints of sauerkraut. Just a reminder, I got the recipe out of the Ball Home Preserving Cookbook, and the amount of time that I preserved these out of there also. Thank you for watching. If you like our video, put a thumbs up, and also subscribe. Thanks again for watching this, and hope you have a blessed day.